Rightio, what I want to do now is have a look through my old projects. So this could be amusing, I guess. There's almost 7,500 actual versions that I made as I went, because I wasn't really using source control, except, I mean, I was backing stuff up, but basically these contain all the files. GameSalad's not especially designed for like multiple people to work on a project at once or whatever. So what this is just some of the milestone or builds that I actually named. So you can see some of these aren't named. These were sort of my more recent backups, but basically they go all the way back to 017 when I was naive enough to think I wasn't going to go into the thousands. So I'm just going to load them up and have a bit of a look at some of them, not all. I mean, I might do 10 or 20, I don't know. My Great Project, it's called. So let's have a look at basic hovercraft movement. Now, it's just one scene called driving, and there's 2 actors in it. Here we go. Oh, now it's just the arrow keys. So here we go. This was maybe the first thing I ever did in GameSalad. Looks like you wrap around. Looks pretty terrible. It's kind of like an orange space car for some reason, and a weird brown terrain that looks very lumpy and mountainous and does not make sense for this weird, almost boaty flying thing. But yes, it is kind of like I'm a space hovercraft or something. So if I turn around and then press forwards, I'll sort of slowly be applying my inertia back that way. Now, sadly perhaps, the driving pretty much did end up just being kind of like this. But I improved it so that there was sort of more of a sense of turning and traction. But there was never a concept of actually having wheels and things particularly. And I didn't want it to be on rails where it just went straight. I want it to have inertia, because I like physics and I like kind of dirt racing style. Let's close this. Let's go to the next one. Kinda Good Foundation. Added sideways drag. Let's have a look at added sideways drag. So this is already the 63rd version of the file somehow. Who knows how I was... You can see how I ended up with a million files. Oh, look now. Okay, I've got all these funny debug stats going to sort of... Okay, it looks like I've got... Spins like crazy. So if I go sideways, it kind of spits out... It spits out dirt, but the wrong way. Yeah, I learned a bit of sine and cos working on this game. I think it's faster than it used to run on that computer. So that's really not making much progress there. Let's jump ahead. So new big map. Who knows whether that sounds very exciting or not. Okay, yeah, I just drew a big map in like Photoshop or something, and it looks like I've stretched it like crazy. And I think I was just trying to figure out like, oh yeah, like how do you use... How would you space out a map and have actual collision and stuff happening? And I just really didn't know how to start. I'd been working in the games industry for 10 or 11 years, but I didn't really know how to code. I was just like a designer. I'd use like existing tools and make sort of work on games that had defined parameters. And I'd done some 3D modeling and stuff, but I didn't really know how to architect a game. So that may be on show here. Added cactuses and houses. Let's just bump it down a bit. Added exploding barrels. Let's have a look at this. So I was working on iPhone size here by the looks of it, and I've got my Mustang out. Now the car's looking a little bit more like my final car here. I basically had this Mustang in the game for a long time, and if you hit these barrels hard enough, I think they explode. I'm not doing much exploding, I must say. So there was no concept initially of getting in and out of the car or anything. It was just going to be cars. Here's just some basic collide and spawn sort of stuff. They're not very explodey. What else? Car damage states. Oh yeah, this was a problem with, you changed the PNG format and there we go. Oh, car's exploded. Let's restart. So here I was adding in a few things that I liked. Oh, blew up again. A few things that ended up in the game, like there's the exploding barrels. The car's taking damage. I remember being pretty excited by all of this back in the day. This was sort of the first game I really started to program myself. Wow, getting somewhere for reals, really? Only another 7,300 versions of the file to go. Now if I go slowly enough, can I just push these barrels? Yeah. Kind of cool. Remember having fun just driving around, smashing things and stuff. We can probably jump ahead here. It'd be interesting to see the levels that I made by hand. So, okay, now I've added shooting in, camera zooming in and out smoothly. So this was where the camera would zoom in and out as you changed speed in the car. Let's see if we can get up some speed. The camera zooming out smoothly. And if I do a burnout, it'll zoom back in. Quite slowly, if at all. Cool. Adding mortar. Oh, and we've got a radio here, which I think we can click through to hear some different tunes. Got a speedo of some sort. I really added a mortar? Not seeing it. It's not added mortar. Let's go rocket launcher working okay. Oh, adding mortar, maybe that's called that, because I was just going to start adding it. Here we go. So we've got some guns. See, I was going to have just car with guns on it. That was what was happening originally. Oh yeah, that's the machine gun. Okay, it's not blowing anything up yet. But I remember even that was quite a big effort for me to think about, and you can see, to think about how to get the shot to happen from there, which could be anywhere in the scene space. So this is the explosive. It's kind of cool. It's a shame I need to replace these car sprites. And the mortar, which, oh I see, it like goes up and then down. Boring. Kind of cool. Basic zombie in. Ooh, there's my first AI. Kill that dude. Oh, jeez, he's tough. Okay, he's not actually interacting with anything. Geez, stuck on me. How did he manage to do that? Maybe he's on the wrong layer. You can see all the layers. So it took me quite a while to even have a concept of like having levels where they're basically empty to begin with, and you don't even spawn in the HUD until it's playtime, and it like in the final game it spawns the whole HUD in with code, so it all ends up on the right layer. It positions itself based on the screen's resolution and aspect ratio and all stuff like this. But to begin with, I was just like placing them by hand in the scene, and if I made a new scene, kind of had to do it all again, or if I changed the way I was doing something, I had to change it by hand in all the scenes, and it was lame. Okay, we seem to have humans in at this point. Humans quite good. So there's humans. Oh geez, the performance is bad. They're getting in the car. How many can get in? He can't get in. Oh, the performance is terrible. I think it's a really big level, and there's bad things are happening. They're pushing me. Everybody's pushing. I think that the mouse is not lining up properly. Look at that funny explosion. Is that a human that died? Or is that a zombie that died? Oh, it's a zombie. I remember doing all my artwork on paper and cutting it out at one point, which was, these zombies are funny little sketches cut out. Car blew up. Zooming in a bit, because I think for quite a while here I was working on the project as an iPhone size game. Now this was an actual, I think basically a mission that's like a capture the survivor mission. So you go to the houses with the flags on them, you bring people back here. Oh, my car blew up, they got me. So this was very much like a big wave based horde sort of a thing, which I was pretty excited about. This is pretty much kind of what I wanted to make as a game, and you can jump in and out of the car. So now you were on foot, and I actually had the player using the survivor art. I don't think there's any mission objectives, but interestingly I had added a main menu with 2 level buttons on it. Oh, and there's some ammo to pick up. You can pick up more people. I think I just killed one of the guys, unfortunately. There's deadies everywhere, so that's kind of cool. And you can flick through the radio as well, I guess. Oh, I'm back in the car, am I? Oh, that's right, you could walk into it and heal the car. So you can sort of repair the car. Bang, so now it's destroyed, but you can walk into it and fix it again. Kind of cool. Nice one. What else do we got here? Weapons on player's head, a better place to be. Sounds like a politician's slogan. New light adding Greentown Massacre. Let's see what Greentown Massacre is. Oh, we've gone stylish. We've got some grain effect. Now I think this is just a funny sort of animated GIF basically, and this almost probably somewhat similar to what it is ended up in the game, I think. Scene 6 easy, scene 6 hard, infinite zombie spawner. Now I think here I had my friends actually play this and were quite enjoying it somewhat, which was pleasant. Oh, now this might even have an objective. Nope, got none of that ammo. Got 1, got 2. So yeah, I'm glad I got this game finished because I quite like the resulting game, and I learnt a lot from doing the AI code, structuring the procedural level generation. How do I get out of the car? I can just get ammo by driving into it. Boom. Satisfying blowing up all those zombies. Oh, I just smashed that guy. So in the final game, you couldn't really hurt. It's because I killed one of the survivors. So scene 11, unwritten. Yes, this was a really huge level, and I was still placing all this stuff by hand, which was stupid. Probably going to kill that guy now. Look at all that juicy ammo. So that was a really big mission. Drop off the scientists there. I was calling them scientists at the time, but I guess I call them survivors now, because they're just meant to be townsfolk and whatnot. Cool. Good. Zombie smash good. The facility. Oh, now the facility's a bit different. Let's try that. Okay, so you can see I've got quite a few sort of level variants here. The facility, I think, was one. Oh, look at all these. Zombie smash. So that's like an endless mode. Smoke gets in. I think these are all named after like B-Grade band songs and stuff, because B-Grade band is awesome. Okay, so this one, oh look, and the camera's zooming in and out. That's weird, the whole HUD's moving. So, I just blew up. So you can see this one, the graphics are all a bit stuffed up. This one has survivors inside a level with walls, which never ended up being a thing. But yeah, you could fully go into this facility, blow up boxes, they could have juice in them, you know, supplies and stuff. There's some ammo. It's very hard to see because the art, at one point GameCell had changed how it handled PNGs, and a lot of them went really light. And you can see a guy in, oh, I've got no ammo. Okay, this is going to be bad if I can't get some ammo. Let's get these. I've got two. Oh no. I'm going to do this. This is actually somewhat compelling. So my new game I'm working on. Oh no, blow up the grenades again. See, this is fun. This is more like Quake. I actually started off doing Quake level design. What's this? Is that my health or something? Quake level design. Got to drop off the scientists out here. And I've been playing Quake again recently as research for my game that I'm sort of calling Cyber Druid 3000, or Project Romero, where you play a character named Romero, a Cyber Druid from the year 3000. And it's going to be sort of a mix of more Quake style level design, quick, hard, punishing, where you can be very fast moving, maneuverable, but so can the enemies, and they're a good shot and they're tough. So it's more like this, where you go into little rooms and scenarios. It's actually quite fun, sort of using the environment more to your advantage, which wasn't in their final game very much, this sort of maneuvering around objects. It's quite fun. I guess another issue that I had was developing on mouse and keyboard, but kind of feeling obliged at the time to be making a mobile game, when, you know, I'm not. Oh, I shot that guy. Okay, now what are these missions? Massive rescue. Smoke gets in. I'm really more of a PC gamer. More recently, somewhat of a console gamer, but I love games. Oh yeah, this is cool. I love games like Thief. So you can go in here, and when you look under the roof, you can sort of see where people are. This one's quite cool. So they're trying to get in, see? And I've got my guys. Blow up those barrels. And okay, and I can bring them up here. So that's a smaller level. Oh, and you've got to make sure that the humans aren't getting killed in here while you are frittering about. Oh, come on, no. There's a barrier there that you can sort of blast through. It's funny, this is really not so unrelated to the game I'm thinking here. I actually like these zombie guys. They're good. I used to be seeing this. It's good to see through lines in your work, and even though this is basically just sort of classic computer game style. Cool, done it. So that's cool. Yeah, that's actually quite a good sort of level that's representative of kind of what I ended up with, but also sort of what I'm working on now. So that's interesting. 1500. So I added accelerometer movement to have the player move based on accelerometer, which no one really likes doing. Was a bit clumsy, especially if you're outside and you're getting glare while you're trying to control the character. Adding different cars. This is the level I was actually thinking of that my friend, I remember when my friend Chris was playing this, and he really, like, I had a few guys over, a few friends who I used to play music with. Oh, now I've gone big screen, so let me just try to position this like, oh, gross, look at all this stuff. Anyway, okay, so here I was trying to go a bit more sort of object-oriented, and I think this is simply flicking through the rows in the mission table and showing values, which ended up growing into the final mission table. So there's survival crossroads. Survive as long as you can. Let's try it. Music off. Oh yeah, this was quite fun. All the art's corrupted again, but yeah, you just keep playing, and you'd be trying to grab the ammo and stuff. It would spawn enemies, and that's maybe what wave it is or something. So they keep coming and keep coming. It's quite fun. Bullets are too small. You need to make bullets massive. Good lesson for any day of the week. You can see I'm starting to build the idea of a HUD that has things positioned on it, which obviously looks really terrible here. I think new health. Oh, see, they're getting quite fast too. I need health. Oh, I died. Cool. What else? Greentown, Town Easy. I think these are just man-made thumbnails. The facility, smoke gets in. Now, running on empty. So yeah, this was my test bed for getting multiple cars working. So this is how many passengers are inside, I think. Eject. So there I am. I've jumped out. Now I'm in the tank, and you can shoot. You can eject. You can get in this little sedan, which I think I was calling a Morris Minor at the time. And you can get... So this is very much like what ended up being the game. Now, these might be barriers, and you can see I'm trying to use objects for barriers instead of sort of placing lots of things in the level or something, but I'm not sure at what point I went to procedurally generated levels. This car was like super buggy, which it still is one of the best cars, but this was kind of ridiculous. Look at this. Stupid. Oops. So yeah, these handmade levels were a bit of a problem because you had to make them all by hand. They were quite big. Just the idea of making a whole lot of content was a bit of a pain. It did look better than this because these have all gone really light, but yeah, and I think you zoom down here, and you go up here. There was a motorbike here too. I thought there was a motorbike. Maybe they added that in later, but the motorbike didn't end up in the game. Just sort of handled too differently, I think. It's a shame all the art's corrupted because it makes it not as good to look at. I should maybe use the old version of Game Salad. And then you drop them all off here and win, but like I couldn't be bothered waiting for them all to get in the car. Cool. What would the flamethrower light? That's what it's meant to look like when the graphics are not corrupted. Do I have a flamethrower? I don't really know what this flamethrower is meant to be. And I've got some really big looking... Maybe there was a... It's loading up. Oh yeah, now look, I have done art for a different sort of player character there. I don't know what's going on there though. Shop working good. Yeah, I'm sure it is, mate. Bet the art's terrible. Okay, so how do I get to the shop there? So, what a beautiful looking shop. There's a Magnum. Now this pretty much ended up being the code that I used for the shop. I just rearranged it so it looked a bit nicer. So Magnum, there it is. Plentiful ammo to be found. Short range, medium clip, small clip size, medium damage. Got $50,000, so I can... No? Oh, I own that. Shotgun, buy. Sawn off. Machine gun. Advanced weapons, buy, and then that opens the rifle and the bazooka and the flamer. So I pretty much knew what I wanted weapon-wise from the start. I mean, I guess they're based a bit on basically Quake with some extra bits and bobs. So how do I get back? What? How do I get back to the other screen? Oh, back. So do I now have those weapons? I think I can click here for next and previous weapon, which was really bad. Oh, there we go. So I think I've used all that up. Let's go to the bazooka. Gulp. I guess I don't have any ammo for it. Uh-oh. Dead. Cool. So yeah, I did seem to get a bunch of weapons working roughly by that point. Car D-pad, trying to improve the car physics. Finally got car great. Bet you didn't. Big town rescue with a tank. Alright. I should have gone to the shop, I guess. Don't have a lot of stuff to begin with. They're going to kill my little people. So, I think the tank's over here. Haven't really seen the tank, so I guess it's good to see the tank. So, I think we can get out of the car. Oh, now it looks like the people are still in that car. So now we have a tank. Not very good bullets.
Thank you.
So you can jump out, but you're leaving the people in their cars. Now I'm back to the shotgun. That actually sort of seems to be working. So that's kind of cool. Added music. Escape from New York. I think I had an Escape from New York. Rogue generator. So I started doing the Rogue generator here at about 2300. Well, what's that doing to begin with? Or maybe this was when I was about to start. Rogue Town. Yep. So we ended up just getting rid of these other ones. For a while I had like random... Oh, and there's survival mode. Alright, let's buy some stuff. Rogue Town. So what does that mean to be in Rogue Town? Not much. What is it doing? Maybe it's just spawning enemies. I think I'm just started and I've got the concept of a left barrier, a right barrier, a north barrier and a south barrier. This little TV here is pretty funny. I was going to have someone appearing there to talk to you, which I sort of ended up with. Oh, now there's a mission exit. Now what happens if I drive in there? Okay. Yeah, see, I think it was a matter of sort of risk reward. You would just go as long as you could and you decided when you would leave. Fixing car enter ammo disparity, adding deer, landmark HUD, adding proper credits, save and load. New menu, let's have a look. I was powering along for a bit there. Helicopter in. So this is March 2013, that's about 5 years still before I shipped it. Because between, I gave up on this game and then I made Rad Skater Apocalypse and then Pulp Diction and then I came back to this game and made that and then now I'm about done with Game Salad and Random Mission. And I can focus on Unity, which I'm excited about. Okay, I don't have much money, so sure, let's play a random mission. Okay, so this is looking more like the final game. The fences are in. There's a tank. For a while I had these trees like this, but my friend Ben Weatherall ended up making me some really nice trees that I ended up using in the final game. But yeah, this is actually pretty much the final game. This is kind of cool to see. Oh, there's some food. There's enemies spawning out of these houses. This is kind of cool. The HUD looks somewhat like the layout I ended up with. The player's a bit slow. I ended up speeding them up, I guess. There's some machine gun bullets. So I ended up, my friend Ben Weatherall gave me a bunch of this art that was kind of just cutout style art. And that was actually a pretty good fit for me. He also did this background. So I copied some of my own buildings in his style and pretty much took it from there and made these fences. And made a bunch of stuff that kind of just fit with that style. Including all the pickups and the whatever. And Ben also ended up making my Foxy character sprite for me too. Now I don't know what the point of this mission is or how you finish it. I actually thought at one point, yeah, there was water. There was water and you're going to get water, food and something and then you would exit. Tap to leave. It's kind of cool. So you'd decide when to leave and then you'd play again. So then I think it became a matter of, oh, that was the level generator, that little box, and then it went and made all these things. Don't have any ammo for that. Don't have any ammo at all. I guess I was meant to buy some with my cash. Shit. Oh, they're faster than me. That's nasty. Can I hide in the trees? Oh, there's the food. You have to find the objects and then leave. Tap to reset character. Character has been reset. Oh, it spawns out of the tank. Whoa, big spiders. Oh yeah, so I had some tank ammo at that point, and you could have these touch controls in there, which pretty much ended up being the car controls I had, which I think a lot of people didn't really like very much, but that's alright. Was a bit hard to get used to with... Oh, look at these monsters. There's Dogzilla, I called him, I think. There's some food. So 2,500, that's pretty cool. Hi Dogzilla. Interesting. So yeah, that's about version 24.89. There's a helicopter. Must be dropping survivors at the helicopter. Adding human voiceover, fixing empty ammo reload, weapons even better, trying to fix shoot box for touches. Doing multi-touch was actually really difficult to track all the touches and things, but I ended up pretty happy with it. Sprint, I ended up getting rid of sprint, but I had sprint in there for a while. Trying multi-touch zones, getting back on track. Tweaking multi-touch. Better shop, just ammo. New day, the final reinvention begins now. Fair enough. Jumping basics working. Whoa. Structure over. Let's have a look at this one then, before the structure overhaul. Structure overhaul might be where I just went rogue mode only. Oh yeah, now this is kind of cool. This is art by Ben Weatherall. Damn, this chick is level 1, says this monster. So I think there was the idea you were going to level up. This is all very kind of Interstate 76 inspired. You can go to the shop. Road Stop Ammo Shop. This, they must have changed how text works because it doesn't line up anymore. Can't do stuff. Tap to select. These guys are pretty cool. Let's go rogue. Yeah, so this was going rogue mode only. Now I think all these weapons are here just for me to, when I was testing them. All this text, they changed the way that works, it doesn't line up. Monsters are a bit too sort of pushy on the car. The car's very slidey like this. What are these things? I don't know what that 3 is. Looks like I've still got it, so you have to jump out. Oh, now the HUD. The HUD's starting to look pretty much like the final HUD. I've gone with a more black and white, sort of a Planet Terror kind of grindhouse look, which is kind of what I ended up with. The trees, there's Ben's trees in there, which are kind of nice silhouettes. I've got fuel in there, which pretty much is exactly what's in the final game. The survivors are getting in, the fences are there, the pickups look like what they ended up looking like, except I tweaked the size of them. This is kind of cool, but didn't end up in there. The communicator ended up being a free floating thing that popped up only when you needed it. All the weapons fit in here. I've made a better reload button that also had a visualized amount of ammo in the clip. It's pretty cool. So I've got to save 6 people. That's what seems to be happening here. So yeah, at this point, this This is, I think, May 2013. It looks like I sort of was set on the path to finishing the game almost 5 years later in the format that I'd found. Any more survivors in there? Anyway, let's keep going. Now, what's structure overhaul mean? Main menu working well, adjusting economy of ammo and rewards. So here I'm up to 2700 versions. Fixed car shooting bug, health kit working, adding chasms. Chasms working very well. Well, let's see if that's true. Whoa. Okay, now this is when I got quite complicated. Ah, yes, I think I was trying to make it so that everything was on the main menu. So the shop's here and the main menu, the mission select is there. This was thinking about having people buy cash or open up another episode. Never ended up with that. So this was handmade missions again. 4 out of 4. Gas station rescue. Clear the area. Ambush. Oh, this was going to still have a story. So, and see, it was going to have little thumbnails and things. Oh, now this changed into more like the final art there. And I could add things to the shop, to my like shopping cart, and then buy them. So, where's my money? I don't even know how much. Oh, there. What? I don't know how much money I've got. Oh, it says there, but it's a bit broken. Sure, let's buy some shotguns. So we're going into ambush. Now this is looking a bit like the final mission. Oh, I think what I did was the levels were procedurally generated, but based on a big table of custom values. So there was, say, 50 missions, but I could say Mission 1 has a grey background and will be between 1024 and, 1500 pixels wide. And I could say that, it's going to be between... Yeah, I started off with a random mission generator, but where I would create the values for like min and max and blah, 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 blah. And maybe define what monsters are in the mission, define how many people there were to save, or a min and a max, and it would then make them. I'd totally forgotten about that. So, yeah, you'd play through a series of missions that were basically, they were always different in the details, but the same as a whole. So this mission was just to kill monsters, and it was always just to kill monsters. Whereas I ended up with a format where you'd get 3 randomly generated missions. I still had a system in the end where I wouldn't introduce demolition missions until, zone 2 or something, and then you couldn't have chasm missions if you didn't have a car and things like this. There were still rules, but it was not this predetermined what order the missions and things would happen in. That's pretty interesting. So yeah, so this would just be kill 10 monsters. So there was no muzzle flash. I put that in much later. And I think for a long time, oh, now this was kind of nice. You ended up with this like mission reward scene with this big ball of cash, which was kind of nice. So I got $200. So the nearby mountain is shaking. Boulders are running down the hill towards you. Use the jumps. I don't know why it says that. That's the next one, is it? Oh, avalanche escape. I'm up to mission 4 for some reason. So this was a clear the area. This was a gas station rescue. Let's try that one. Oh, it's locked. So I have to do this one. Yeah, so I had missions to unlock and all sorts of stuff going on. He died on that car because fixed that bug in the end. He would die on a car because my speed was great enough to kill him, and he was touching a car, not knowing that he was touching a car that was not mine and was not moving. So this one, oh, it's just to kill monsters again. I thought this was Gas Station Rescue. So it's kind of cool. It had bigger background images. I changed the look of the background, but this was a nice Ben Weatherall image that actually was really helpful to have just to set a sort of a tone and a look. I did end up using layers of this sort of noise texture in the back of things. So that was cool. I used to work with Ben at Firemint and really liked him as a person and his interest in music and his quirky approach to art and just the things that he liked kind of overlap with things I like. Let's close this one. Cool. Let's keep going. Shoot button working. Aim line working. Yeah, I didn't end up keeping that. Adding music controller. So that was the random music controller. Car destroy logic. Supports up to 6 demolition targets. So that was adding into the mission building system to be able to build up to 6. So here maybe I'd gone quite roguelike by this point. These are daily Game Salad projects. I actually need something else to load them up, but I might just skip them. Let's just skip past. Oh, this was like a steering wheel approach I was going with at one point. Here's showing my inspirations. Death Proof. Oh, look, now I'd made the menu with a parallax scene in it. Later I ended up having a different parallax elements for each zone. Odd jobs. So I think I still had set missions at this point. This is more like the final shop in a way. Oh, now I seem to have zoomed in a bit. The car's very big here. Shoot all 10 monsters. So you can see here I was trying to figure out better touch controls. And see, you can steer the wheel like this, which is kind of cool. So you could steer sort of in a bit of an analog way. So here, let's have a look. See, I'm just steering gently. Still very boaty. I ended up fixing some of that problem. So yeah, that's kind of an interesting little oddity. So now I'm up to level 2. I can go back and replay missions I've played at this point. It's 1974, just 5 years since the 69 apocalypse. You're surviving by scavenging and doing odd jobs. Milton has called. Exterminate 10 zombies for them. So Milton was a town. That fog's got a bit of a funny... Oh, now there we go. We can see the funny aim line, which Jim recommended I take out, which I think was a good idea. Sort of just takes you out of the feel of it. I wonder if... See, I think stealth's probably working a little bit here. Let's see. Yep. So I had stealth working at that point. This was a stamina meter that I ended up getting rid of. Things are looking more like the final game though, with these weapon buttons positioned more like I got cleaned this out without that speaker and stuff there. I've still got the car wheel. I think it's fine just having the steering as being 2 digital left and right buttons in the end. So let's wipe these guys out. So, and I've also, looks like I've got this sort of more random spawning happening. So they weren't actually spawning from buildings for a long time. They would just spawn anywhere. And I think it was partly Jim who encouraged me to have proper spawners. where you could choose whether to sort of go at the spawner and take it out. Like, there weren't actually any missions that just had to, in the end, just had to be kill X number of monsters. They were all like destroy the spawners, clear the spawners away, which made more sense and made it a bit more grounded and strategic. Because this is a bit just sort of like random, waiting for monsters to spawn. Like, you know, good work out there. Took me forever to beef up that final. What's this? Gas station rescue. Took me forever to beef up the results screen. Not that it ended up being super beefy. This art's corrupted still, and they changed the way the text alignment works, so that's gone weird. So, yeah, I think to begin with, you just rescue the one person. You might actually, you can actually press pause, drive north, pick them up, and continue north. See, used to be quite specific to the level, and I would have like a concept of where to drop them off and stuff. Cool, so that's third mission. Acid Storm Escape is the fourth mission, and so yeah, this was, for ages it was all laid out with very specific missions. So this pretty much is like how these missions ended up. The car's spinning around like crazy. This was roughly how the game was for quite a while, I think, before I just went into a completely roguelike mode on it. I still wonder whether people might enjoy playing the game if they knew it existed or not. No one's really played the game much. You know, I've only sold 300 copies or something, so I am very happy to have made the game because I've learnt a ton doing it. That's the end zone. But, you know, it wasn't worth it at all in terms of people playing it, and that's sort of fine. I don't think it's worth trying to exert myself in the iOS market, where I don't think my style of interests and things really suit the marketplace, where you really need to get featured and monetize in certain ways. But now that I've learnt enough that I think I could make my type of game in Unity that I want to make, like kind of more like a immersive sim Quake-like type of thing, at least to begin with. I'm hoping to find an audience there that also digs my style. These are all very much learning experiences. You know, doesn't surprise me or upset me that they didn't really make any impact on the market. You can see I'm puffed out here while that stamina bar is flashing. And then you can kind of keep running until you hit empty, and then it slowly charges up. Now I think if I stop, so you have to pick up the 4 and get them back down here. Hospital demolition. So now there's a demolition mission. I'm just playing through this one more because it does represent this state of the game, and I feel like I may have deleted all these missions soon after this, so this is kind of a good look at what these missions were. And to note, you know, every time you played these ones, they were different. The trees were in different places, the buildings were in different places, the barrels were in different places. But you would always be doing the same mission, and the approximate positioning of things were within the same sort of boundaries and whatnot. So here we just destroy one hospital, a sort of a gunked up, diseased hospital. The zomboid virus has been quelled. So then I think a lot of the missions are somewhat repeated, and they just get harder. And yeah, I think I just started to feel like it would be better to be able to just keep playing the game over and over, instead, like with random missions, instead of this fixed order. Now this is an interesting one. This one's called 4389 Landmark Result Before Starting Teaching at AIE. So in 2014, at the start of the year, I started teaching at the Academy of Interactive Entertainment in Melbourne, where I'm still teaching now, in 2018 July. And so I did kind of put this on hold a bit then too, because I really needed to start to use Unity properly, because that's what we were mainly teaching at school, which was cool because I just started to think, I don't know if there's that much interesting to look at here though. I'm going to shut that one. I started to learn Unity a lot more, and I could have just stopped making all of these Game Salad games, and that may have been a good idea if I had, but I didn't. And I'm glad I finished these games off, but they took a long time, especially because like if I had started using Unity full-time for game development at home, it would have sort of doubled up nicely with what I was trying to learn for school. Because I still haven't shipped a game in Unity, I'm sort of starting to do that now. So I've learnt a lot in Unity, and I've made various projects, but I have had my attention split between Game Salad and Unity. Let's have a look anyway. So this is March 2014, trying to get Game Salad to fix bugs and send them things. They never really did fix a lot of the things that needed to be fixed. What else is going on here? So April 2014, bullets working. So I'm still working on it when I'm at work. Tweaking player controls, adding AI pretty good, adding enemy bullets. So I've got enemy shooting, best shooting yet, still issues, persistent car and health. So this might be basic random extermination mission working, adding rogue missions, trying roguelike cut up. Prani's added backgrounds and shootbox art, so like a screen flicker overlay. Let's have a look at the persistent cars and health. So this looks like around the time when I really went proper roguelike. So okay, it looks like I'm hanging on to these missions, but I can just go random bank heist. So I'll just go random mission, and it looks like okay, look, it's just creating a random mission, and the random mission is always kill the monsters, so that's what I started with. Okay, this is crazy. Do the mission. So 1 out of 5 monsters. Look at them, they're all just spurting out of everywhere, and the backgrounds are kind of a Hessian fabric shape, which is interesting. And I did end up going with a sort of a version of this overlay, I think. Okay, let's do another random one. Just curious to see how this started off. So yeah, I was using line 150 on the random mission table. So this is 17 monsters. So I was obviously just randomizing. Oh, and you can see the reload buttons kind of taking the shape of the final reload. So yeah, I was teaching 5 days a week. Things sort of slowed down a fair bit. But I was, there's a lot of back and forth between thinking about things. Oh, look, and this is slightly different. I like there's a sort of a gap in the middle there. I think I ended up basically using that. Cool, so let's shut that down. That's like starting to get roguelike. Adding creature groups tables, so that's the one that define the different zones and what can be in the zones. Random missions working good. Landmark random missions exterminate only. Let's head down a bit more. Trying to get memory issues fixed. That's right, I ended up entirely giving up on the game because it would crash more and more on my test devices due to whatever GameSellid were doing at their end. Adding creature groups. I was just trying to fix everything for ages. Sent a build to another GameSellid user, Roland, who looked through my stuff but ended up saying, it all looks fine. Okay, it pains me to think about that time in my life. GameSellid has led to some real pain. That's partly why I ended up going roguelike, I think, is because I could adjust the size of the levels and stuff. Like, I was having so much trouble with GameSellid, just the instability of their engine and their editor, that it meant that, like, I may have to reinvent things, and if it was handmade, it would just cause a lot of work, whereas if it was procedurally generated, you could tweak some mins or maxes or variables or whatever, processes, and, you know, fix things across the board by changing rules. Zones and monsters working. Let's just have a look at... Okay, things were speeding up here. So this has jumped to 2016, right? See, this is... What's happening here? This is 2014, Landmark, July. New Beginnings, July. Adding creature groups. So, August I worked on it. November 2014, and then I've jumped to February 2015. Yep, I was working off stuff. Roland was trying to help me, but none of it helped. What happened here? Okay, so we've jumped to August 2015. Adding preset story missions. Making levels larger. September 2015. We've sort of jumped almost a year. All in one menu. Let's see what this is. Now, I think here I'd started to add the map in. I think here I came at it. Yep, okay, so I came back at it here to really try to finish it, and this was about 2,000 versions off the end, and I've added this, which ended up down here, but this is sort of, these used to be lined up properly. You can buy stuff in the shop, you can pick different missions, and I was just starting to lay out the basis of there being a map and getting to the end. So it still took me another 2 years or so to ship it, because I was very on and off again on this project as I was learning Unity and teaching different subjects, and sometimes have time and sometimes not. So you can see there's a rescue mission there that's procedurally generated. I think I was just putting all this in. Okay, you can see I've been through that stage where I've updated the art to all be non-corrupted. The car's a bit weird. This stuff's starting... Oh, okay, yeah, I was trying it for a while without the sort of widescreen. Monsters are still spawning from out of nowhere. But you can see this is basically like the early mission in the game where you just rescued people in Small Town or whatever. But here it's randomly generated.
Adios. Adios.
So you do that, and that starts to fill up this bar. Oh, and here you can see there's just 8 missions to do or something. Probably would have been a good idea to maybe do really short burst runs. So that's starting to work. Let's just see another one, demolition. So I must have had all the basic mission modes in here and working. Yep, so here's a demolition target. He's shooting at me in a basic way, no muzzle flash yet. It's my fuel, getting the fuel working across cars, I guess. I don't have the fuel gauge in yet. I think you must click here to put the fuel in, so the only readout I really have is this debug one. And you can kill these things. So yeah, I think I was enjoying the game at this point because I could jump into missions and not know what to expect, which is something really cool about procedurally generated missions. Got the flamethrower in. So yeah, that's pretty cool. Bug fixing, shops, muzzle flash. I added a muzzle flash then. Skid marks pretty good. I didn't get them right under the car until later. Candyland zones and monster types. I don't know what that means. I think that's when I added the colors on the zone menus. Spawners. So here we go. We're coming pretty fast now. Removed the aim line. Made the bullets bigger. This was partly on Jim's advice of chatting to him once a week. Burning Foxy goods. So I added where Foxy can get burnt. This says, oh, there's adding the radio in. Let's just go and look at this landmark build. So this one's dated from 16th of March 2017. Wow, so I think I churned through the end of the project. Like this was less than a year from shipping. I've got the iOS stuff in. I had this in for a while. I ended up getting rid of that menu. I didn't really like it that much. Oh look, I'm explaining booster crates already. This is all starting to look close to final. I improved the look of this later. So we'll get a car. This is looking like quite a bit like the final game. Even the tips are in. I think my mate Sam also, no, the bullets are way bigger as you can see. Enemies still try to run outside the fence sometimes, which is stupid. Fixed that so they only ever try to seek positions inside the fence. This never got juiced up till near the end. This stuff's looking kind of cool. Let's go to the shop. Oh, I didn't even get a car. Let's go back and get a car. Yeah, so it's funny, like this was still, I think I had a bet with Sam, if I shipped it around before the Switch came out, he would buy me a Switch on March the 3rd. That would have been 2017, and I didn't, but it was a good kick in the pants. I kind of went for it for a while. Partly just it helps if people are taking interest in what you're doing and motivating you and giving you deadlines. Deadlines are important. Looks like I added sort of proper spawners here that have destruction states and jolt around as you shoot them, which is cool. There's still one more spawner somewhere. Now this, yeah, so I think I had it in that enemies came out of spawners. This guy's running to medium range or long range to shoot me. I think I made it so that they see it's too easy to chase them around like idiots. They ended up shooting from medium range instead of far range, I think, because they were just on the run. See, they'd only shoot at you like when they were too far away. It was kind of cool the way it was hard to hit them because they'd run away. But Yeah, so that's looking more like the final game. Again, hadn't jazzed up the results screen yet. But yeah, this was all working. It was a race across the map. 1200 miles, that was set now. Use a booster, bam. So they didn't have the jazzy boink boink bounce bounce booster crate opening. That didn't end up looking much better, but it did get a little more to it. So I added the radio in. I had my friend Brendan do all the cool voices, which was always hilarious and adds a lot of atmosphere to the game and a bit more sort of story and context. Widescreen, okay, I added in a system so it would run at different ratios better. Stripping things out or something. I think I was trying to get it to run on lower end devices or something. Radio fucking working. I was having trouble with turning it on and off or something, and I got that finally working. Adding Kamikaze Zombie, that was cool when he came in. Improved the way that sound was produced from the acid spawners so they didn't take over the whole level. They'd only play the sound if they were near you, and they had a proper fall off defined in code rather than just in the relying on positional audio in the engine. Bought my new Mac Mini that I'm recording on now because my MacBook Pro finally died. And then here, these are all my backups I haven't even backed up. So lots of enemies and bullets nearing the end, he says, in September 2017. Now, I ended up shipping more like March 2018. So what did I do at the end? Working on Mac release, working on Android. There's the Apple submission, 17th of October. Maybe I finished around October then. Fiddling around with Brendan's VO more. Yep, adding all the VO. Oh, that's the VO for the monsters. I did a bunch of voices with Brendan for the monsters. Final tweaking happening on the 9th, and I'm obviously doing a lot of iterations. September, importing new fuel gauge, so I'm tweaking like tips and things. Lots of enemies and bullets. Magnitude, yep. So that probably takes us to the end. Let's have a look at the final build again. So the final build, or at least the one I was mucking around with for Mac, was March 2018. So yeah, there's lots of attributes here. These are the global attributes: car position, ammo counts, blah 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 blah. Yeah. Okay, so yeah, there's the final splash screen. It looks okay. Hello, Finn. We'll get a car. We can tell that to go away. We could use a booster crate. Why not? Right, so I changed the background a bit in the end. This is the final one. There's the zombie deer. You can blow up these things. That helicopter drops off the enemies. There's a kamikaze zombie. You can shoot them and they'll blow up. Here's a car that I want. Cars start off with somewhat randomized damage. I went over all the car art myself again, making it look uniform and adding some pretty cool cars at the end. Fire burns up the enemies and burns up the forest. It was kind of a fun ecological kind of thing to do. Adds a bit of excitement. You can tap on there to get more fuel in your car from over here. Sunskis. So I ended up jazzing that up, probably quite near the end. At least it just has a bit of counting up and stuff. That's when it tries to do some game centery stuff. Let's go to a shop. So the car bounces along, it shows which car you've got. There's some of the more cars. So, got to rescue 3 people and get them back to the chopper. Should be hearing some rad Sage Lewis tunes going on. Now I've got some rocket launcher ammo, but I don't actually have a rocket launcher, so we won't be seeing that in action right at the moment. So there's the 3, we've rescued them. I redid that survivor art near the end. I like the way that music cuts in, and when you tap the button it goes and just ends the song. Oh, now this is a shop that's very busy with goods. So let's get a machine gun and some ammo. And let's... So there's no radio when you're at the shop, because there's no room for it, so I just don't allow it to be there. Let's go in the jumps mission. Jump the chasm. So I'm just playing on mouse and keyboard at the moment, which you can download the Mac version from itch.io, B-Grade Renegade, Race to the Rocket, and the MUZBOZ itch.io. I think it's a couple of bucks, $3, $5, I don't know. I might make it free at some point, I don't know. Maybe I did make it free, I can't remember. I just want people to play my games and enjoy them, that's the thing I want. So you can shoot with the D-pad when you're on iPad or iPhone. You can shoot with this, or you can touch the screen like I'm doing with the mouse, and you can drive with these and these, which, you know, takes a minute or two to get used to it in a way when you're jumping in and out of the car, and these controls work a bit differently, but I find it fine. But, you know, I've played it for 6 years, that's all it takes. It's really quite comfortable, quite intuitive. Maybe 7 or 8 years to get, you know, really good. Erasure region. So, let's go... see if there's another car. Turn it off, because I can't hear it at the moment. So, coming up to the end, I think I've captured the history of the development of B-Grade Renegade fairly fully. Oh, capturing sheep, rescuing sheep, which I always enjoy because they make cute sounds. Okay. Wouldn't mind seeing another car. They've got a sweet Pluto or a Thor. Thor's like a green muscle car. Now let's see if these guys do, so they are running away still. But yeah, I think they maybe just run to medium range, I'm not sure. I could look it up, but I won't. Now you can press F to throw some fuel in the car if you're on the desktop version. There's another car, but it's just a crappy sedan. Quite happy with the AI, as simple as it is in the end. Oh, there's a... we'll grab that just for something else. So that's a pickup. Do cool burnouts. my pickup. Cool, so yeah, there's a bit of a look back at the development of B-Grade Renegade over a long time.
Attention civilians, this is a military broadcast. All civilians make your way to port coordinate 65.
I worked on it from around August 2011, which is about when I left Firemint to try to make my own games, right up to March 2018. In that time, I also released Red Skater Apocalypse in 2012, I think early, and then Pulp Diction in late 2012. Then I went to start teaching at AIE, and now I am ready to be done with Game Salad and work on Romero, Cyber Druid, or whatever I end up calling it, which is more like a Quake-like FPS game. So I'm looking forward to that. I've learned a lot making these games. So yeah, just wanted to have a bit of a record of how they were made, because that'll be easier for me to look back on in years to come. Thank you and good night.